Batman movie's coming out next year, and I am very concerned and excited at the same time. Hey, what's up, Nerd fam? This is your boy Gashawn. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, we're going to talk about The Batman by Matt Reeves. Now, obviously, the movie hasn't come out yet, but I wanted to think about what should we really expect from it? What are our predictions? And maybe possible thoughts about this movie and what it could mean going forward for maybe not necessarily the overall DCEU, but at least the rest of these Batman films and maybe even how it affects comic book movies going forward. So, there's a couple cool things like to hear about it, or that it's actually isolated within itself. Which some people might be like, why is that a cool thing? And narratively, it makes things a lot easier when you can just focus on the story that you are crafting yourself instead of having to tie them into a whole bunch of movies. Now, Matt Reeves has said that he wants his Batman to have a trilogy, which is cool, and he's going to have tons of Batman-specific villains, which means that specific world can get fleshed out probably till its fullest, and I am looking forward to that. Now, is it going to be very comic book accurate? Now, that's something that I've obviously had a big pain point about a lot of these movies and developed a bit of an apathy towards comic book movies because of it. But he is borrowing heavily from Year One, and I think even a little bit of Earth One when it comes to, possible Batman's mom being the whole part of the Arkham family as they do in Earth One, I believe. I'll get into that later as to why that could be really cool. What I respect about Matt Reeves is that he said he is borrowing some things off of source material, which is cool, but he also is saying that he's also taking some liberties with it himself. I respect someone saying that to my face rather than doing what they do in their competition, which say, we're trying to be as close to comic book accuracy as humanly possible, and they'll lie. It's just... You lie! You lie! You lie! I guess what goes hand in hand with those changes is some of the design stuff they've done. Well, first off, with the casting, like Robert Pattinson, as much as he's a great actor, I know he could pull it off, like, the role-wise in terms of the acting. Obviously, physically, it looks like it's going to be weird. And watching that trailer, in terms of the fighting, it looks a bit stiff. He doesn't look like the master martial artist that we know Batman to be, and I'm wondering what that choreography is going to be like. If it's going to make it gritty, where he's just punching and being, just ravenous more than skilled, which would be kind of strange, because we know that's not what Batman is, so... that would be one of those things. And also them making the Riddler look like the Zodiac Killer, which is what they said is a clear inspiration. But we know how he looks. Like, you can look and see how he looks in Year One, and that's not how it is. So it's like, why make that change? You know what I mean? But there are some key things that I think they are taking over from that. Also, I believe they greenlit a show that he has, a companion show for this. So, once again, this universe that he's making with this trilogy and all that seems like it's going to be fleshed out better than what the DCU is. And even if I can't get, like, all my comic book stuff out of there, if from a movie standpoint, I can at least get, like, a cohesive narrative, I will be okay with that at the very least, right? Now, one thing that worried me was, I heard that, Warner Brothers had a problem with, like, perhaps there being an arc that focuses on Bruce or Batman's mental health. And I think that was actually a really, really interesting thing to focus on because, to be honest, if you look at Batman, even though, he's got like all the cool contingency plans and cool gadgets and great training and stuff like that, you look at a comic book, that there's always been a degree of like mental health when it comes to him because he's never really actually gotten over his trauma. Like Batman's the real self versus Bruce Wayne being the fake self. He's never really moved past that point mentally. Like everything that he does and acts and thinks is in result of the incident that happened with his parents. And I think that'd be a really cool thing to focus on in that aspect, especially in the film, and just talk about that part, especially because you can expand upon it and make it more relatable, even like how they did it in The Joker. Even though The Joker, obviously, that movie was not comic book based, right? They still did a pretty good allegory to mental health in that, too. It doesn't mean that the whole movie has to be about that, but it'd be a cool way to highlight something that's kind of been bubbling below the surface, but then obviously at the same time in the comics that they don't really like to shine a light on. And obviously even Warner Bros. Doesn't like to shine a light on. They're like, how could one of our greatest heroes have mental health issues? And it's like, he watched his parents die when he was a kid. Without, actual therapy, and, he's out here putting the mask on and then adopting other kids who have also suffered through traumatic things so he can have them fight crime and dress in bright costumes so they can, distract from the enemy. There's a lot of things going on. Like, if you want to be honest, now mind you, I love Batman the character. I love all his arcs. I love it. I love his villains. I love how his adventures with the Justice League. But this is also a part of him that I've also grown to accept as well. And I feel like if they got a chance to really flesh that out in these films, maybe not alongside the Justice League, but just how it affects him in Gotham and everything, then that'd actually be pretty cool. And I hope if that is really something that's in the film, or at least a touch of it, they let it go. And I think that'd be pretty awesome. I know the villains are. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with that. And I really, I hope they don't intersect this with the mainstream DCEU, and I hope they keep it here, because as of right now, I just hope that the DCEU can get a win, or just Warner Brothers can get a win of some sort. And if it comes at something like this, I'm okay with that. I don't want them to see some weird multiversal thing, which I know they're trying to do anyway. But whatever. I hope this goes this way. Let me know. What do you think? What are you looking forward to the most about the Batman? Is there anything that worries you about it? What do you like the most about it? Do you like all the casting when it comes to the villains, like with the Penguin, and all the other guys, Riddler, all those things, like Catwoman? We have Zoe Kravitz, which should be interesting too. That should be interesting. Just seeing. I'm hoping that each of these villains does play a different part in his character development, especially because they're doing a trilogy. I keep on meaning to end the video, but I keep on finding something else to talk about. Part of me, that's just how my brain works sometimes. But yeah, I think, and I'm confident with Matt Reeves' skills. Now, obviously, if you know what this movie was supposed to be, originally this movie was supposed to be, Ben Affleck directing it and starring in it. Then it was just him starring in it with Matt Reeves directing it, and then that was really going to be more in line with the DCEU, like that Batman with his own film. But now Matt Reeves kind of turned it into his own thing, which could wind up better for him, because now it could be his own thing away from like the Snyderverse, and he could still live even when they are going to reboot the Flashpoint thing, which is probably a really smart idea that he went that way. So yeah, now I'm gonna end it. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you really most expect about it. If you are worried about it, let me know about that. And until then, into the nerd.